All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today's November 29th. We got 9 NBA games to get into today. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and then stay tuned for the hashtag of the day at the end of the video, and then make sure you comment as well. Yesterday, we ended up going 3-1. The Dub Nation train kept going. Warriors took the win. So did the Bucks, covered for us. Karis LeVert's assists. Easy under. I think we've hit that 2 times in a row now. So, Karis LeVert's assists under might be getting a little hot for us. The only one we didn't hit was Pat Connaughton over 1.5 threes. He did finish his 1 3, so you could be like, oh, you only missed by 1 3. But if you watch any of that Bucks game, I mean, he had 0 threes for like the whole game and then hit 1 towards the end. So that was a missed pick there. That was a loss. Sometimes we hop on here and say, oh my God, say for this example, Pat Connaughton hit a 3 in the first quarter, and we were waiting for 1 more 3 for the rest of the game. Wasn't the case here. It wasn't really his shooting night. But 3-1. You're not going to catch me complaining about a positive night. 3-1 last night, 2-0 against the spread, 1-1 player props. But let's jump into tonight's slate here. We're starting it off with a game that I do not love, but you guys know how it works. I go through each and every game. I will give you my thoughts, what I'm feeling, where my head's leaning here. I'll give you that. But make sure to keep an eye on the pinned comment because that's where all my final plays or any updates are going to be. But we have the Sixers hosting the Magic here. Sixers, 14-point favorites. And I don't know how I feel about this one. I mean, that's a strong lean to the Magic for me, but I don't know if I can truly trust the Magic tonight. This Sixers team, obviously, they're getting more and more healthy. I totally get it. They still, they still seemingly need to work on some things because even when they get a few guys back, they do catch an L as well. But 14 points, like, does Vegas know something we don't know? Are the Sixers about to blow the Magic out of the water? Because even some of these good teams that have been playing good basketball, I feel would be 14-point favorites against the Magic. So I would lean Magic here. Don't love it. It's probably not going to be on the final ticket, but it just confuses me that that's one of the higher spreads we've seen all year long. And this is a Sixers team that, yes, they've had injuries, but even outside of that, they have the off-court drama and everything like that. 14 points is a lot to give here. So I'm going to be leaning Magic, but it's a long shot to make the final ticket. But keep an eye on the pinned comment there for the final ticket. Moving on here, we have the Miami Heat. This is one of the games that I love tonight. Miami Heat taking on the Nuggets. Nuggets are getting 7.5 points on the road here in Miami. Miami, as we all know, right, are very good against the spread team, but a really, really good against the spread home team here. 6-1 against the spread at home, 6-1 straight up at home as well. I like Miami here. I have 7.5 as the line. I might try and get it down, maybe buy a point down to 6.5 for whatever reason. That makes me feel a little bit more comfortable when I'm running my numbers and stuff. So we might eat into the odds a little bit, buy a point. I don't know. Make sure to keep an eye on the pinned comment, but it's going to be a Miami play for us tonight. That is probably going to be on the final ticket. We do have some injuries, so obviously that could throw a wrench into things if things were to, spark up and a bunch of guys are out. But Jokic questionable for the Nuggets, and then we have Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero also questionable for the Heat. So obviously that's going to throw a huge wrench into it if either of those guys are out. But if everyone were to play, even with Jokic playing, I still like the Heat here. But again, you got to keep an eye on the pinned comment there because it is injury dependent here. All right, and then we have the Bulls taking on the Hornets, 2 of the teams that we've been riding this season here. The Bulls, 5.5-point favorites. They are 13-8 against the spread this year. And the Hornets, a team that I feel like people view them as an underdog and whatnot, but they genuinely are a good team this year. They're playing good basketball, young, fun to watch. They're 12-10 against the spread. Both teams have very similar straight-up records here. I don't love that number, 5.5. Plumlee is out. Javonte Green is probable on the Bulls side of things. Charlotte's coming off a loss to the Rockets here, and the Bulls are coming off of a loss to Miami. So both these teams sort of have the, let's get back in the win column type mentality. I don't know where to make out. I mean, maybe you go under on this game. It's a 224 total. I haven't been touching totals lately. You guys know that. But I would probably end up leaning towards the Bulls, and it pains me to do it because I do really like the Hornets. They're one of my more, the teams that I like to stream and just watch because they're a very fun team to watch. But we don't care about fun to watch here. We're looking at numbers. That 5.5 seems a little bit too big to me for the Bulls, but I think the Bulls are genuinely the better team. They're going to be the team that can probably set the pace. So I would lean Bulls here, minus 5.5. Keep an eye on the pinned comment, though, for that final play. It's going to be Bulls or nothing for me. And it's if I can get, you guys know I'm a human too. It's if I can get myself to bet against one of my favorite teams in the league right now, the Hornets. But I think we'll be able to get there. Next up, we have I am a Timberwolves hater. You guys call me out in the comments all the time. I look at these Timberwolves line and I'm like, what are you talking about? But the Timberwolves hosting the Pacers. Timberwolves 3-point favorites at home here. This Timberwolves team 10-10 against the spread. Pacers at 11-11 against the spread. Both these teams are very inconsistent. This Timberwolves team, I believe, has won 4 out of their last 5. So they are playing better. They've made a little bit of a fool out of me because I constantly come on here and I'm like, why does this team get points? Why are they favored? Blah, blah, blah. Well, that's because they are just a 500 team. They're playing good basketball. They're playing the Pacers tonight, who obviously played yesterday as well against the Bucks, second out of a back-to-back. I would lean Pacers here still, but again, I got to be biased that I think of this Timberwolves team and think they can't offer anything, and then they go out and prove me wrong every single night, except for when we were on the right side of recently they played Charlotte, and we were all over that one. So I would lean Pacers here. I think that, regardless of a back-to-back, Pacers coming off a loss on a back-to-back, they might come out a little bit hungry here, and Minnesota just got one down to the wire with Philly. So I think that I'm gonna lean Pacers on this one, +3. Don't love it, but we might be putting that one. We might be pulling the trigger on there because I have to live up to the stigma of the Timberwolves hater because I feel like I bet against them every single night. Next up, we have a game that is just, I don't even know what to make of it. Houston Rockets taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Rockets 2.5-point favorites at home. For this one, this is one of those games where I call you guys out and say you're a psycho if you really have a strong play on this game. I'm going to lean the Thunder because they are just the rumbling, covering Thunder for us this year. The 13-6 against the spread. They're getting points here. I get it. They're away, and they've been a pretty good covering team on the road here. They've been a good covering team overall. We just call them the rumbling, covering Thunder there. But I guess I'm just going to go Thunder here. But again, this is one of those, like, if you guys have a strong play on the Thunder Rockets game, I don't know. Something might be wrong up here because these two teams just could go out there and drop a dud any given night, and they do it more often than not. So I'm going to be leaning Thunder here. Might make the ticket, but be very clear. We've been on the right side of some Thunder bets this year. I am not betting on the Thunder tonight. I would be betting against the Rockets, right? So that's sort of my mindset going into it. I don't love the Thunder in this spot. I just feel like the Rockets have given up on basketball. And, I've made that abundantly clear lately. And I say that, and they have won a couple, but, perfect time for them to lose again. So, gonna lean Thunder there. Moving on to the Dallas Mavericks hosting the Cleveland Cavaliers here. Mavericks at home, giving up 6.5 points here to the Cavs. Cavs, they went through a rough stretch. They did get a win against Orlando. They pummeled them, 13-point win. The Dallas Mavericks, on the other hand, have lost 4 out of their last 5. I like the Mavericks here. I think 6.5 points seems like it's a lot. Maybe buy a point down, make yourself feel a little bit more comfortable. But I do see the Dallas Mavericks easily being able to come out here and throw up a double-digit win. They got Luka. They got Porzingis. It's kind of all you need to be taking down this Cavs team, who's a very, very different team since Sexton goes out. And I think Jetty Osman's questionable tonight as well. So I'm going to be leaning Mavericks here. 6.5 points seems like it's a little bit too high, but similar to the last game, I'm going to be betting against the Cavs in this spot rather than on the Mavericks. I think the Mavericks obviously haven't been playing good basketball, but the spot for them, they're playing a bad team, a team that is 14-5-1. Yeah, 14-5-1 against the spread this year. We called them the covering Cavaliers, but I just think that this is a spot where Cleveland's coming in. They seem like they're maybe starting to turn things around. We just got to win, whereas Dallas is like, oh my God, we have just lost. Got to win in there, but then lost again. They are the better team. I'm gonna be rolling with Dallas tonight in terms of my lean. Next, we got the Spurs hosting the Wizards. Spurs 3.5-point favorites at home here. This Wizards team, I thought that they were pretty good. Now they've been pretty inconsistent. They lose 3 games. They win 3 games. They lose 2 games. They win 2 games. And the Spurs team is, at this point we could say they're a bad team, right? Like, they beat my Celtics. I get that. But they are a bad team. -3.5 here on the Wizards side of things. I think that number's far too low. I'm going to be leaning Washington pretty heavy here. I think that that's going to make the final ticket. I know they're on the road. I get that. Washington against the spread on the road is 4-7. They aren't a good against the spread team. But I'm looking at this as, okay, forget that you have a home team and away team. Just take the genuinely better team. And it sounds so weird that I'm saying the Washington Wizards are way better than the San Antonio Spurs, but I think that is where my head's at right now. So I'm going to be leaning Washington -3.5 in this one. Next up, a really good game here. I don't love the number, but it's the Utah Jazz hosting the Portland Trail Blazers. Jazz 7.5-point favorites at home here. For whatever reason, I feel like we have some sort of allegiance to the Trailblazers, unless when they're playing Golden State, like we bet against them a couple nights ago. But we have taken Portland this year. They're 10-10 against the spread, 10-10 up straight up overall, and 8-12 against the spread. I don't think 7.5 points is too big of a number to take for them. But then on the flip side of things, the Jazz, that seems like a little bit too big of a number to take there. So I don't know if I just made sense to you guys, but to me, that strikes it as a stay away game, because it's not enough for me to be like, oh my God, the Trailblazers are easily covering that number, right? But then on the flip side, I could see the Trailblazers playing it close with the Jazz. Like, the Jazz aren't an automatic sort of, oh my God, 8-point win, easy. This is one where World War III is going on up here. Too much conflict in the brain. I go back and forth, so I'm probably going to end up staying away from it here. 7.5 points seems like it's just a little bit too much here, even though the Jazz seem like, they are a good team at home. But for whatever reason, I feel like the Blazers can keep this game close. I just feel like that's not I'm not going to take them because they can keep it close. Do I think they will keep it close? That's where the mental conflict comes in, so I'm staying away from this game. So I know you guys don't like that answer. I know you guys don't like when I say, I don't even have a vibe on this game. But again, I say it in every video that I say that in. I'm not going to make a pick or make a lean or give you guys any sort of advice or anything like that if I have no clue where I'm leaning. I'm not going to do that just for the video or just for the content. So it is what it is. Next up, we have the Clippers playing the Pelicans here. Clippers, we got, what's the line here? 6.5 points at home here. Are the Pelicans playing better basketball? I mean, they go out, beat Washington, beat Utah, and then obviously they're going to lose to Utah on the second night of that back to back. They're playing the same exact team. It's tough to beat a team twice. But I feel like this team might be playing a little bit better basketball. They played, I believe, 10 days ago or so and beat the Clippers. So I don't know. This one, 6.5 points, it's kind of tempting right now. This Pelicans team is turning it around in terms of covering here. They're 9-13 against the spread. I will say, you can't put your money behind the Pelicans. You can't trust this Pelicans team. Even though they've looked a little bit better as of late, how can you look at them and be like, oh, you know what, I trust that team. So to me, even though they have won in terms of against the spread, they've covered 2 out of the last 3 times out there, I'm still going to be leaning Clippers. That might have been a little bit confusing because I kind of talked up this Pelicans team, showed, they've been making progress and whatnot, but this Pelicans team, I don't know if they're the real deal yet, and I'm not going to bet on them like they are the real deal without knowing that, whereas this Clippers team, I think, can be genuinely good. I think they are a good team. They had an early game yesterday losing to the Warriors, so hopefully they're fine with rest and whatnot, and injuries, nothing new there. So I'm going to be leaning Clippers here. I almost said leaning Pelicans. So I almost screwed myself there, but leaning Pelicans, 6.5 here. Leaning Clippers. I did just catch myself there. I'm going to be let me make this very clear in this game. I'm going to be leaning Clippers, not Pelicans. Leaning Clippers, -6.5 in this one. I don't love it, but I do think that, this Pelicans team's coming down to earth at some point. And I don't mean to make it sound like they've been playing good basketball, but do you remember how bad they were just 2 weeks ago? Now they're starting to compete with teams, beat teams like the Bucks, so I do think that, that's just smoke and mirrors there. I like the Clippers in this one, -6.5. All right, that's going to do it for the spreads or the slate today, guys. We're moving into the hashtag of the day. But before we do that, I'm going to ask you guys, please hit that subscribe button if you're still watching. Like the video as well. And obviously, keep an eye on that pinned comment. That's where all of the updated plays will go. And in terms of yesterday's hashtag of the day, we had Lamar coming in. He said hashtag dub, because that was yesterday's hashtag. He had the Warriors -2, the Bucks -2.5, and Scotty Barnes over 3.5 assists. Hey, I said I'm not going to only be looking for complete winners here, right? I want to give people that go 2-1. I don't go 100% every night. Scotty Barnes misses that assist mark by a point, or by a half, I think. So very, very close. Lamar gets a shout out. He goes 2-1 yesterday. That's still a positive night. Again, I told you guys, I've said it before. At first, when we were doing these hashtags of the days and you guys were giving multiple picks, I was kind of only putting into the grouping of who we could possibly choose from for the shout out. I was thinking, all right, who's gone 100%? Who hits every pick? And then I look in the mirror and I say, Ev, buddy, you don't even go 100%. Why are you expecting people in the comments to go 100%? Nobody's perfect. So, guys, if you do have a positive night, let me know your ticket in the comment down below. Use the hashtag grind tonight. Hashtag grind. Drop your picks. If you have a positive night, if you have a good night, 2-1 like Lamar did, I'm sure he's happy with that. He's not complaining about that. Make sure to Drop your picks there with the hashtag, and you guys, again, if you have that positive night, you might be featured in tomorrow's video. But that's going to do it for today, guys. Hopefully everyone is making some bread lately. We, last night was pretty good. Almost a clean sweep of the table, but we'll take 3-1. Hopefully we continue that trend, but I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.